In this video, we'll discuss how to start a new Android project. I've already started Android Studio, and simply enough, we click on Start a New Android Project. For the application name, it will depend on what we're working on, whether it's an exercise or a lab. Let's say this is exercise 1. So, EX1 and then our class ID that you're given is fine. Okay? Notice the company domain hasn't been changed. It's always something.example.com, but do notice that the project location puts it in my users area, Android Studio Projects, and then the name. For company, we're going to use westmich.edu, and that will factor into our project namespace. Notice, I don't know if you can see it this well, but it's edu.westmich.ex1bjones4242. We hit next. We're going to keep our settings default, phone and tablet. That's all we'll be working in this semester in the beginning class. API 15 is fine. We'll hit next. And for now, we're just going to select blank activity. Next. Keep your activity name as main activity, activity main. Don't change any of these. Default works fine for now. And we'll hit finish. And it might take a little while for everything to build the first time as it sets up the IDE. Okay, so the project has built and is ready. If during the build the first time you get a firewall warning that Java needs access to the local network, please allow it. You can leave these tips on or off, it depends. I usually leave them on and just hit close. And what looks like a blank screen is actually full of many items along the edges. You can see many taskbars that are docked. I'm going to click on the project one, which here we have our app folder, which is where we'll do pretty much most of our work. We have Java, we have our manifests, we have resources. Resources is where we'll start and do most of our design within layout. And there's our activity main XML. XML is one of the scripting languages that is used. The other is a programming language, Java. So I'm going to double click this, and depending on the speed of your system, it will open up fast or slow. We have plenty of layouts. We'll talk about these widgets, text fields, containers. You'll do a lot of work with these this semester. And right now it is rendering a virtual look of what it might look like. And here we are, EX1bjones4242. Hello World generates it for us automatically. So there's our first run, and then we'll work within this for design and whatnot. And notice we have the design of the XML file, the activity main, as well as if we look down here towards the bottom left, the actual text is the scripting language behind it, and you'll do quite a bit of work in here as well. But we have do have the design going and different properties and so on, and we'll work through a lot of this this semester. And here's the Java file up in this tab as well too. There is no interface, of course, because Java's on the back side for our logic and interactivity. Some of the other things to note, under Tools, Android, we can get to the SDK Manager there. There are also some icons elsewhere you can get to them. And the AVD, which are our virtual devices. And by default, we have Nexus 5 API 23 set up. If we want to do a new one, which we probably will, we're going to create virtual device here at the bottom. Select what you want. A Nexus 5, that's pretty much the default for our development. Some people will do the Nexus 6. Either way, I'll keep it with Nexus 5. I'll hit next. And then here are the SDKs that we've loaded earlier. We have Marshmallow, Lollipop, and KitKat, depending on what we're doing. I'm going to go ahead and go down to Lollipop, and you can choose your x86 or x86-64. I'm going to go ahead and do a Lollipop x86-64, so I'm not working in 23, which is Marshmallow. I'll work in 22, Lollipop. Hit next, and we get the little lollipop icon over there. You can give it a name. You can keep it Nexus 5 API 22. You can call it Bob. You can do whatever you want there. That's up to you. I'll keep it as such. And then hit finish. And now it's going to build this AVD, and I'll have another virtual device. So I now have two. I have a 22 and a 23 for my builds. Notice this 23 is Google APIs. We'll talk more about that. That's not normally the one we use by default. You instead want one that says Android 5.1.1 or Android 6 or Android 4.2 or whatever that might be. And now we're ready to code, and more about that in class.